One floor below me, you don't even know me. I love you. Oh, my darling, not 3 times on the ceiling if you want me. Twice on the pipe if the answer is no.
All right, that was Tony Orlando. I am John Burke. This is Burke & Company. This is the Monday Market Minute once again, and this is actually going to be a Market Minute first for Burke & Company. This idea this week is a client-given idea. It was a recommendation. So, if you ever have any recommendation of something you think we might want to tackle here, feel free to throw it at us because we just might do it. And in this case, I want to give a special thanks to a good client, Joe Jarrett, who recommended this idea. A few weeks ago, we did a view of the entire market as it is right now in Sea Isle. We hit a bunch of categories of homes, and he said, hey, why didn't you hit the category top floor, bottom floor duplexes in Sea Isle? And I didn't hit that category. And at first, I don't think I wanted to hit that category because they're probably, and this is a qualified position, I don't mean to offend anybody, but they're probably in some ways the least exciting properties here in Sea Isle as far as the attention that they get from potential buyers. And we're actually going to cover that in the first segment. But when I started to really unpack this type of home, there's a lot there. There's a lot to think about. So I came up with 3 big things I want to hit quickly. And with those, we will talk about top floor, bottom floor duplex here in Sea Isle. 3 things to think about. And there's actually a lot to unravel. So let's get started.
Boy, that's the story of my life. No respect. No
respect. And it's true, they really don't get much respect. Whatever it is, top floor, bottom floors have never done well versus the side-by-sides here. If you take the same number of bedrooms, the same age, the same condition, the same location, and you make it a top floor, bottom floor versus the side-by-side, the difference in price can be pretty dramatic. Just in the last year, a really good example, 2277th Street, the first floor. Awesome location. 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, only about 10 years old and 1,900 square feet, and it sold for $720,000. Meanwhile, a property like 34 74th Street, which is actually a little further from the beach in the same part of town, 4 bedroom, 3.5 bath, 2,000 square feet, a little bit bigger, but about the same age, and it got over $900,000. So those side-by-sides have just always brought in bigger numbers in the top floor, bottom floors here. Which is a bit perplexing because you would think that there would be a market for top floor, bottom floor homes here in Seattle. After all, our homes are pretty expensive, and most of our buyers here tend to be pretty established in life, which makes them a little bit older. And they're looking at owning these homes in some of their more advanced years where mobility can become an issue. So why do these houses struggle? I think it's because of one of the most important, biggest developments going on in real estate down here, which is the introduction of the elevator into houses. It's a big deal. My last 2 brokers have both thought that the elevator didn't matter so much when you're trying to sell a home, and I completely disagree. I do a lot of open houses, and when I talk to people, it's something they think about when it comes to the future. So now that the elevators become less and less expensive to put in, and we're seeing more and more of them, it makes that top floor, bottom floor unit, the appeal that it used to have, just isn't there as much. I think of a story of an agent that I used to work with. Now, her family had owned a piece of property, one of those old bungalow-style homes that were all over Sea Isle years ago on a beach block. And when the father passed away, they made the decision to develop the piece of land and to do a top floor, bottom floor, so that her mother, who was a little bit older, would have great, mobility access throughout the house on the first floor. And it worked great, and it was a beautiful home with a lot of space. But when it went on the market, granted, in a slower market about 5 years ago, it struggled to sell, with a lot of homes that were not as nice and were older selling in front of it for a higher price. Why is that? Because I think the availability of elevators has made that appeal of first floor living not what it used to be. And it's a game changer.
Come on and let me know. Should I cool it or should I blow?
All right, buy or sell on top floor, bottom floors. And here's what I would be thinking. It's probably a good time to sell them. if I had a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom top floor, bottom floor, I would be excited right now by the fact that the side-by-side price on, say, the 100 block of entry-level 4-bedroom homes has moved up over $600,000. So there's a really good big gap in there for you to kind of step into right now. You're probably doing a lot better than you would have been doing just a couple years ago. So there's a good market if you're looking to potentially sell one that you have right now. I also, when I think about top floor, bottom floors, think about a scenario in my mind that has intrigued me as an option to buy them sometimes. And that is this. Because they are sort of undervalued for what they actually are, they're actually the closest you can get in Sea Isle to buying a usable piece of property that you can go and use now with your family, that you could rent now for some sort of income, and get a stake in the land underneath it. In a lot of cases, when you look at what a developer will pay for a buildable lot here in Sea Isle right now, your purchase price on the bottom floor of a top floor, bottom floor duplex is close to it. I mean, really close to it. So you're almost buying usable property for land value. Now, you don't own all the land, but if you befriended your neighbor upstairs and said, hey, if you're ever interested in selling, let me know, and then you manage to cut a guy like me out of the process, and you get a bit of a discount there, you actually could acquire a piece of land over 5 or 7 or 10 or 15 years at less than it would cost just about anybody else to purchase it. It's really something to think about. It could be a good plan. There are obviously a few things that you should consider. Number one, the most important thing is you want to be looking at a top floor, bottom floor that is on a buildable lot. Now, the city of Sea Isle is going to protect interest of homeowners that live in duplexes here. So if anything ever happens to somebody who owns a duplex, you're going to be allowed to rebuild to your footprint. But if you're not on a full-size lot of at least 5,000 square feet, you won't be able to develop the big new house that everybody likes. So if you're going to execute a plan like this, you definitely want to be looking at properties that are on pieces of land over 5,000 square feet. But if you are looking at that and you start to do a calculation of what the value of the land is, in some cases you'll find your purchase price for half of that value is pretty close to what you're paying. So it's something to think about. It could be a good plan. If you're interested in something like that, I'd love to talk it over with you. And if you have a top floor, bottom floor, and you're thinking about selling it, I'd love to talk to you about that too, because there's a lot of conditions in the market right now that make it worth a lot more than it was 6 months or a year ago. Again, the market is great this spring. It's really good. And with the prospect of rising interest rates right in front of us now, finally, there's a lot of reason to think that this actually might be the best market we see this spring for quite a while. So whether you're thinking about buying or selling, buying, you want to avoid those future interest rates, and selling, you want to avoid them too, because it actually costs buyers money, and money that they have to spend financing is money that they can't pay for homes. So once again, John Burke, I want to thank Joe Jarrett again for the idea. There's actually a lot to talk about here. It's a good topic. And this is Burke & Company. It was a Monday Market Minute, and we will see you next week.
I can hear your music playing. I can feel your body swaying. 1 floor below me, you don't even know me. I love you. Oh, my darling, not 3 times on the ceiling if you want.